My name is Kaylee and today we're going to take a look into the oldest ivory tools that were recently discovered in Ukraine. So up until now, the oldest ivory tools that we knew of were created around 120,000 years ago by Neanderthals. But with this new discovery, the timeline for the use of ivory for tools is being pushed back by nearly 300,000 years. This video is sponsored by Saley, but as always, more on the sponsor later in the video. So we know that humans and our ancestors, the Australopithecines, used stone to create tools, and humans have shaped and carved bones into tools as well. But ivory has always been associated with symbolic artifacts as well as tools in the archaeological record, and like I just mentioned, the oldest modification of ivory into tools was thought to date back to around 120,000 years ago. But now we have a groundbreaking study published in the International Journal of Osteoarcheology, and this new study significantly extends the timeline for the modification of ivory into tools. So these tools were discovered at the Medzhibozh A Lower Paleolithic site, which is one of several Paleolithic sites found along the southern Bug River near Medzhibizh, which is a settlement some 300 kilometers south of Kyiv in western Ukraine. This Paleolithic site was first discovered back in 2011 and was studied regularly up until 2018, and this site offers a window into hominin occupation spanning many thousands of years. Hey, quick time travel break. If you've ever been stuck abroad with no signal, trying to Google ancient Roman aqueducts or where the nearest coffee is, I feel you. Or trying to send just one photo and your phone's like, nope, no service. That's why I use Saley now. It's an eSIM app made by the folks behind NordVPN. You download it once and it works in over 190 countries, so we stay connected wherever history takes us. No more shady SIM card kiosks or sketchy Wi-Fi spots. With Saley, your internet works, and it's super affordable. Plus, there's built-in security features like ad blocking, web protection, and even virtual location options to help keep your browsing private while you explore. Also, their support team is available 24/7, so if you ever get stuck, help is literally just a tap away. You will get 15% off with my code Kaylee. Just head to saley.com or download the app and use the code at checkout. So we have more data for maps, memes, and mysterious ancient facts. Stay connected, stay curious, and let's get back to the video. At the site, the researchers discovered tools made from flint and quartz, as well as bones from long extinct animals like, for instance, horses, woolly rhinoceros, and large wild cats. But they also discovered 24 fragments of ivory from various stratigraphic layers. These fragments were found in upper layers and were dated to around 400,000 years old with the use of electron spin resonance, as well as geological and faunal analysis. So initially, the ivory fragments were catalogued among general faunal remains, but during laboratory analysis later on, they discovered unusual features on the ivory that caught the researchers' attention. So a detailed study of the ivory fragments revealed that 11 of the ivory pieces showed evidence of deliberate shaping. 6 of the fragments had been knapped, 3 were altered using bipolar or anvil technique, and 2 were identified as flakes. One was shaped into a point and another one functioned as a core. So the point and core were especially significant because they showed unmistakable signs that they were modified by humans. This discovery is not only remarkable due to the age of the ivory, but mostly for the use of ivory itself for the creation of tools. Because ivory is an unusual material for tool production, and this has everything to do with how fragile the material is. The miniature ivory pieces from Medzhibozh A are rare, even in Upper Paleolithic contexts, as they perform poorly compared to stone tools of similar size. And this has everything to do with their low hardness and general fragility. So there's doubt on their practicality. The Mohs hardness scale of dentin and cement layers is only around 2 to 4, while limestone is around a 4 or 5, and flint and quartz are around 7 and 8 on the hardness scale. So this makes the ivory tools far less efficient. So while ivory from mammoths may not have been the most effective raw material for functional tools, the evidence shows clearly that these fragments of ivory were intentionally shaped by the hands of human species. Most likely created by the hands of Homo heidelbergensis, a human species that lived in the area around this time that the ivory tools were created. But there is a very small chance that Neanderthals may have created them, as they could have lived in this area around this time as well. So the Ukrainian research team had theorized that the ivory tools may have been created due to a lack of quality stone material in the area, which may have resulted in experimentation with alternative resources. This idea is supported by the fact that the ivory fragments were processed with similar techniques that were normally used on local stone tools, including edge trimming, flake removal, rotation, and bipolar on anvil knapping. But there's another theory put forth by the research team, and that is that the ivory tools were not intended for practical use, but could reflect aspects of social learning. Like for instance, children could have mimicked the adults knapping as part of their learning process in making tools. This has everything to do with ivory being much softer and easier to use than stone. This could very well be the case for them to learn to make tools at a young age, so they would know how to create them from stone when they got older. So the goal for these ivory tools could have been not to create a practical tool to use, but rather a training piece or play object. So the authors of the study do acknowledge the possibility that the artifact's bearing layer may have been misdated, or that the features seen on the ivory fragments could have been natural in their origin, although they do consider these scenarios unlikely. This has everything to do with the technological complexity and clear signs of modification that would make it very difficult to attribute these artifacts to natural processes, and on top of that, the dating methods the team used to evaluate the age were sound. So if confirmed, these fragments challenged the long-standing assumption about the cognitive and cultural abilities of early human species. The ivory tools of Medzhibozh A not only extend the timeline of the use of ivory from 120,000 years ago to around 400,000 years ago, but also suggests a previously unrecognized level of innovation and social behavior occurring around 400,000 years ago, which is at least 100,000 years before we, Homo sapiens, had even emerged. So what do you think of this latest discovery from Ukraine? Let me know in the comments down below. And would you use ivory to create tools? I mean, nowadays in modern times I would say no, but maybe back then it was a really good way to learn to make tools without the use of stone, which is much more difficult to shape. If you enjoyed watching, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, and click that bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I upload. If you haven't seen my previous videos yet, then click the card in the upper right corner, or click one of the links in the description down below, or click a video in the end card. I would also like to say a massive thank you to my patrons and my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!